Welcome, friends. Liam Murphy back to draft some teams on DraftKings today as a two-time DraftKings champ. You missed the old thumbnails of Liam in a suit? Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just lazy about having pictures taken of me. Should just have my girlfriend take a bunch of photos of me for the thumbnails. I've just used some photos at weddings and such. But today we're going to be drafting some DraftKings best ball teams. If you want to find all of my best ball content, it can be found at beatbestball.com. I just spent this morning updating my DraftKings rank, so figured I'd take it for a spin. Of course, today's a special day. We will be getting the NFL schedule, which we're getting in. I mean, this is weird of the NFL. Like, I understand they want to take all of our time, but just give us the schedule, guys. So I made a thread here. We'll see what people put in here. I said schedule rumors for week 17. I've seen Jets at Bills week 17. Some guy said he saw Bills at Pats. So Eagles, Giants twice in playoffs. Chicago versus Seattle. Eagles, Cowboys. San Fran versus Detroit. Chicago, Seattle. Pitt, Kansas City. Cincinnati, Baltimore. Dallas, Philadelphia. Chargers versus Arizona. Pitt versus Kansas City. Giants versus Indy. Giants versus Indy again. So, I mean, we're going to roll some of these. We will be getting the official schedule tonight. If you missed it, I drafted a big dog $500 best ball team last Saturday, and there is an article live on my site for paid subscribers to see my thoughts, see the team, see the draft board. $99 gets you that for the full year. All right. Any other NFL news we got? Let's check in on Underdog NFL, see if they're giving us anything. I don't think so. Oh, MVS is a bill. I don't know if I talked to you guys about that. I don't think I did. So let's go over that. MVS as a bill, he got like $1 million signing bonus. That's a player who's making the team. Chase Claypool, I think, got $25,000 signing bonus. That's a player who's probably not making the team, or needs to prove it. So yeah, I think MVS safely makes the team. Some people were trying to cast fear on Khalil Shakir, saying that MVS, Matt Collins, look, they're trying to replace Gabe Davis, Shakir, Samuel, Coleman. They're all slots. How does it work out? I'm of the opinion that talent rises to the top. I wrote about that here, and that Khalil Shakir is talented. And I think that the Bills will have packages where they sometimes prefer the blocking of Matt Collins. They'll sometimes prefer MVS to just run a pure go route, which maybe he gets targeted on, probably not. And that I am not taking Khalil Shakir in my rankings. I still think it's possible he's the wide receiver 1 in Buffalo. Keon Coleman's ADP is getting to a point where it's a little absurd, probably. I still think he's worth drafting at ADP, but he's not a guy I'd want like 50% of, 30% of, because I think it's equally likely that you'd rather have Curtis Samuel, you'd rather have Khalil Shakir. Coleman, of course, the first round draft pick this year, top of the second, same thing. Maybe he runs touchdowns. I think that's like the best case for him. I don't know if I think Shakir would be the slot, Coleman on the outside, Samuel kind of running this like down the field role, but they can all play slot. They all will play slot too. And then, of course, I think Kincaid is the best value in Buffalo. Something that a lot of people liked to give me shit about last year. A lot of people changing their tune on. Wanted to mention, we're going to be doing the $20 today, but DraftKings released a 3-entry max $100 contest. I think this is a fantastic contest to shot take. Like if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't play a lot of high stakes, but I want to play some. I think $100 is a affordable entry point. I think the fact it's 3 entry max is nice, unlike the 555, which is a 150 max. And if you get to the finals, it's only 23 people, so you got a 1 in 23 chance to win 100 grand. Min cash in the finals is 1,500, so 15 times your money. Fourth is 10K. It is still pretty top heavy. Like really no need to go first 100K. Second is 50% of first, and fourth is 10% of first. Like that's a bit absurd, but it's fine. And it's a contest I'll definitely max. Let's enter it. Let's enter it right now instead of doing the $20 and just see what it's like. If it fills, I'll draft it. It's probably not going to fill. So in which case we'll do the Millie Maker. Yeah, when it says 0 out of 12, that means that I'm the only one in the lobby. So always make sure you withdraw. Do not just like close your screen if you're trying to leave. So I'm going to withdraw my entry because we don't have the time to wait for that. And let's draft a $20 1.5 Millie Maker. Again, the payouts for this, I was struggling to find that before. Pretty great in the top 10. Is pretty, it's more top heavy than BBM5 though. This is only my third. I had food poisoning the day of release where I would have drafted like 10. So if you want to draft with me, get on in there. It's definitely not plus EV to be streaming DraftKings drafts in particular, because part of the allure of drafting on DraftKings is just to try to find the worst people ever. All right, let's get to some comments. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Thomas. What's up, Scott? Thanks for the dab. Pitt versus Kansas City confirmed. Yeah, I think we got that one. In a contest with 20 entry max, is it fine to be overexposed to a player instead of around 20% of a player to be closer to 40%? Yeah, Cal, I think it is. This is a variance question. Understand what you're doing. I've written about this, but if you're going to take 40% of a player, it's coming at the expense of another player. So, of course, the cheaper players are, the more confidence we should have to be doing this. And the less likely you are to be burned. But something to ask yourself is like, if you are taking someone at the expense of all the other players in their round, how likely do you think you're going to be burned by the players you're fading? Ravens Texans Christmas Day. Pretty nice. Sure, you've been asked this a ton, but how are you feeling about Curtis Samuel for Buffalo? I kind of love it. Yeah, I've been drafting a lot of Curtis. I think it's feasible. He's the wideout one. I want to be drafting more Shakir. I've just not gotten him as much. Kind of like done with wide receiver then, because I don't think it's like, I think it's not great to go like 30% Samuel, 5% Shakir. I'd much rather be like 20% both. And of course, I'm really happy I got some cheap Keon Coleman. Because now he's getting kind of ridiculous. And I feel the same about like Worthy. Like I don't think Worthy is worth his pick at all at as far as like his projection and where he's going. But I still want to draft some of him so I have him ranked about where his ADP is, because I mean it feels kind of bad to just be like, well, I'm going to IKB this and go 0% of a first round pick attached to Pat Mahomes, who ran a 4.21, And we know, ton of, Kelsey could like really fall off. Hollywood has not been a picture of health. Rashee Rice. I mean, Rashee Rice could be going to jail, guys. Like I've considered just deleting Rice from my ranks and just letting people like figure that out on their own. which I might do. I think something I'll do is I have some ranks right now, and I might make some ranks that are more extreme if you prefer using those, which will just have like the leading players I want to fade, you know? So it'll be like, well, rather than putting this guy either below his ADP or roughly at ADP if I think it's fine, but just like not appealing, just straight up deleting them. And so you can kind of like build this intense portfolio. So much rice in the big board, brutal run out. Yeah, it's brutal if you I do not have much rice in the big board. It's brutal if you were like counting on his wide receiver points, like if you built your team like that, right? And I unfortunately like I didn't draft Rice at all on the big board, and then I did in BBM 5 as he started falling because I'm like, oh, this is probably an overcorrection. But I wish I just kind of like stuck with the fade. I didn't think he was worth a 2-3 turn pick ever. We got this bad boy filled. We are the 103. But let's look at these big board exposures. I did 48 big boards, by the way. That's just lazy. You got to do 50 to get the rake back. I didn't realize. Yeah, I'm at 4% Rashid Rice, meaning I took him on 2 teams. And I'm sure it was past ADP. Let's check some of the rookies. I got 17% Worthy. That's feeling pretty nice. Coleman, 15%. Lad, 8%. I thought I was drafting way more Lad. Brian Thomas, 12.5%. Troy Franklin, that's a loser. Brendan Rice, that's a loser. Big board, a fun sweat. Chubb, 1 team. All right, enough of that. We're doing DraftKings now. Of course, I am a 2 times DraftKings champ. Let's try to run it back. I've never made the finals in the DraftKings Millie Maker for best ball. Last year for DraftKings, by the way, I guess I should mention this. I just like didn't want to do my teams because it was like so big, so top heavy. The price point was low too, so it was like way too big. And so whatever, I jammed them all in like the last week where I literally drafted 120 teams over the course of like 2 or 3 days by drafting 15 to 20 teams at the same time on my phone. And my advance rate, like I advanced 40 teams, so I crushed my advance rates just because in general, drafting late last year was like way more over expectation than you can expect historically. I was drafting like Kyron everywhere, teams like that. I was doing 40 teams at a time. So I on my phone, it like the dopamine that would exit me is like it was extreme. And I still advanced 40 teams. All right, 103. Yeah, I disagree with the market. I got Chase 103. I like Tyreek too, but we're gonna go Chase today. That's a spot I'd mix, even though my rankings disagree a little bit. I tried to do like I have a really big monitor, and I tried to do them on the monitor to begin, but I just like I couldn't see it. So instead, I did it on my phone, and I tried to build extreme to like kind of help myself, so I could like just like queue a position. So like either like I tried to get like an elite quarterback, so I could like not worried about just like totally punting that off. Or I would like try to start 0 RB so I could just queue a bunch of running backs and stuff like that. I'm sure some of the teams weren't stacked, like, and I didn't auto that many. So, and I didn't have ranks in last year. So I just had I manually had to just delete some players from the ranks that I was accidentally auto drafting, which I mean you did auto draft sometimes when you're doing 20 drafts at the same time. So Balls Life said drafting on DraftKings is way more fun than Underdog, in my opinion. Dudes live a little over here. Yeah, I mean, I understand the sentiment that oh, I love to draft against all these bad players, but I've always said, and I've seen some other content people start to echo my sentiment here, where if you need if a requirement to win is like instead of Adam going Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, let's pretend he went Alan Lazard and Michael Wilson in round 1 and 2. If requirement to win is a drafter doing that and thus giving me a start that no one else can get, you can't control for that. So I kind of like on Underdog that they do. DraftKings also is not transparent about whether they throw out drafts. Historically, we were just told no. And then last year, I think they did. So I think they are starting to enforce collusion, which I don't think is a big concern in general. We see Jax here is living. Man went Laporta at the 2-2 when his ADP. I mean, this is an example of reaching that I would not do or I wouldn't recommend. It's fine, right? Laporta could this team could definitely advance. It could definitely win still, but you can get Laporta at the 311 often. So why would you reach on a player that already goes at ADP? Yes, of course. You're just getting 2, 3, 4 three players that go at the 3-4 at expense of a 1-2 turn player. So you are unique in that way, but you're not as unique as just simply grabbing a player that goes at the 2-3 turn. Yeah, I mean JT past ADP. Let's check in on ADP. Seems fine to me. JT, of course, was on my winning BBM2 team, so got to be loyal to him a little bit. Team 11, some kind of Lions homer of? I mean, maybe. We'll see. If he gets the Jamison Williams 311, then yes. But I don't think a Gibbs I mean, a Monroe goes down. Those two are smashing. Is this you? Is this you, Ham? Yes, I'm living. Let's go, Lions. Are you Jax? Okay. Yeah, I like Mike. I like Big Mike. I prefer him on Underdog, obviously, but I think the connection he showed with Baker Mayfield was wonderful. So, around 10 touchdown type guy. Just need him to fall in the right weeks. I'm not getting Laporta in round 3. Okay. Mike saying I don't like DraftKings software, though. Drives me crazy that I can't name my teams. Mike, brother. If you didn't draft before DraftKings had a draft board, I don't want to hear any complaints about the software and whatnot. Because it used to be no draft board, no uploadable ranks, none of that. Jay Lives asking me thoughts on RB dead zone players this year. I'll have an article on that, I think. But, in short, times are changing, in my opinion. So Jalen Waddle goes at the 310. That's definitely a unique pairing in the sense that he's closer to a 2-3 turn pairing. So like that's a really valuable start from Danny here as opposed to like what Jax did, where Danny is getting unique through a falling ADP, something you can simply not control happening. Jax is getting unique through reaching with a player already aligned to ADP. Do you think DK doesn't try to improve their best ball because they make a majority of their money on their sports book? I think DraftKings execs like drastically misgauged what best ball can be for a company, which is customer acquisition and retention. And Underdog sharply filled that void, and DraftKings allowed a now legitimate competitor to emerge because they neglected something. But now they've shown a little bit more. DK also cares about money instead of players. I mean, look, I love Underdog. All the sites care about money. They are businesses. No one's doing this out of charity. But yes, Underdog has excellent customer service. Yeah, so again, like when you aren't streaming on DK, you can get some wild rooms. Like what our friend Jax is doing here, but like 5 people doing that. Where I mean here has got like just a bunch of grinders for the most part. Kincaid goes ahead of McBride. I don't hate that for a PPR site. I have Kincaid 1 rank ahead of McBride PPR. DraftKings for whatever reason also just like loves their quarterbacks. When mathematically it contributes less points to your score. Taking Tank Dell, I might be ending up with a little bit too much Tank Dell. And what David did here, guys, taking Stroud when he has Nico, they're simply and Diggs. Like I understand you're gonna feel really bad when this guy just rips Stroud for no reason, but like I took Tank, so no reason to take Stroud there. Where we're just gonna assume that this guy's a thinking player, right? And he's not going to just grab a naked quarterback to watch the world burn, which will happen sometimes. But I would never take Stroud there. I would always take him at the 5-2 and take the player I like the most, unless I'm really indifferent on like a couple players. And I mean, I mean, maybe it was a good call because this guy just ripped naked Mahomes. So, but yeah, Tank, I'm really high on him if I know he's healthy. I don't think it's impossible that he broke his leg, he got shot. They're saying he's fine, but maybe he's not as much. In which case, Nico and Diggs are smashes. I think it's also possible that Diggs loses a step and Nico and Tank are smashes. So I like my start. Chase, Big Mike, Tank, Kirk, JT. Tank Dell eats those bullets. Yeah, man, street cred. What we got on Jacksonville Week 17 rumors? To my knowledge, people are saying Giants and Colts. Bucks, I haven't heard anything about. Don't think I've heard anything about Jags or Bengals either. Oh, the Texans will host the Ravens? So that's gonna push, yeah, what David did here, that will just kind of solidify Andrew's ADP here, making this a pretty chalky game stack that could hit. Best offenses in 2024. Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Ravens, Bears, 49ers, Lions, Dolphins, Rams. I'm kind of high on the Jets. I think the Colts could be feisty. I think the Jags will be serviceable. I think the Chargers will be serviceable. Overall, the NFL is getting more parity in the sense that, like last year, I was like very confident the Patriots were awful and I didn't want much to do with them. I don't feel that way about as many teams this year where, and I'm going to have an article on this too, like I think it's a changing meta in the NFL where like, I don't like, we're not going to get a team that loses all its games this year. And I think almost every team has some hope of upside. Like the Titans, Will Levis is good. They surrounded him with players. The Pats, they drafted a QB number 3 overall. They invested in their offense. The Raiders, okay, not a hopeful bunch, but at least Zamir White goes off. They got Devontae Adams. Myers has been good. AOC, Aiden O'Connell just is good, like year 2, whatever. Bengals versus Broncos week 17. All right. Yeah, and again, like I could take Joe Burrow here, no need. I don't get the market outsmarting itself on Rome Odunze. I'm into him. And with this group of 5 wideouts, I could even stop at 5 and go extreme. Like this guy's T Higgins, so he might go Burrow. But I'm not worried about it. I value getting a guy like Rome more than I do getting the QB stack, which he confidently just rips Burrow. Like if he was planning to go Burrow, I would argue, why are you taking Mahomes? But hey, here's what it is. Let's go Brian Thomas and set up a little bit of a jag stack, and I'm almost certainly stopping at 6 wideouts now. Falcons Commanders, guys, find the Jags leak. Jags schedule. Jags schedule rumors. I mean, we could probably do it by process of elimination. Jacksonville Jaguars schedule rumors. The Jags are tough because, like, some people do JAX, some people do JAG, I'm not seeing anything full Jaguars. Getting nothing on him. See if anyone mentioned this. I mean, by process of elimination, like, I think them playing the Titans is still possible. Don't think I've seen anything for the Bucks. Don't think I've seen anything for the Chargers. I want to say JT played the Giants either the year I won BBM2 or the year after. Bucks, Panthers, Falcons, Commanders. Maybe we could get Jags, Packers. Let me look at a hashtag Jaguars. Latest. All right, how about hashtag Duval? No one's got any Jags rumors. So be it. We'll do it blind. Let's grab Brooks. I think I said saw Bucks Panthers, so we got that Mike Evans, Jonathan Brooks correlation. I like betting on the first running back selected as a rookie. And like you can't you can't say like, "Oh, how are you drafting Jonathan Brooks? He's bad." And at the same time, you're drafting Zamir White, who like the Raiders either have the same win total or half a game more, you know? Seahawks, Bears. I mean, so who's left for Jacksonville? I guess the Saints I haven't seen rumored. The Cardinals, I'm not sure about. The Titans, the Browns, which I get you don't want it to be the Browns unless they're at home. I'm not going to bother putting together the Week 17 schedule on my site until we get the full thing. Let's go Daniels. We got our 2 running backs. We got 6 wideouts we feel good about. We got a rushing quarterback. See, like Sin here, CLN, he could have panicked and been like, "Oh man, I have Debo and Ayuk. I need to take Purdy." But he looked in here and he said, "Okay, this guy went Mahomes and Burrow. He's done at QB. This guy went Allen and has no one from the 49ers. He's probably not doing it. He knew I was not going to just rip a naked Purdy at ADP. And this guy got a Stroud double, so he's probably not going to do a naked Purdy either. I don't know about TJ. Like, I was a big TJ Hawkinson guy last year. He got hurt pretty late. He got hurt bad, so I need to see a little bit reports on that, but I'm a little worried about him. And I think it makes Jefferson even like that much better of a pick where he's not, it's just going to be him, Jordan Addison, and like Brandon Powell, I think is the wideout 3. What do we got for the Commanders? Who are the Commanders playing? Maybe we'll get Commanders Jags. That's fun. Falcons Commanders. Hopefully it's in the Falcons Stadium. Get that dome game. Jaden Daniels, Mike Vick reincarnated on the field, week 17. Oh, I can see it now. Thanks for tuning in, by the way, guys. I'm on the road to 5K subscribers, so please, if you enjoy this content, make sure to hit the like button, click subscribe. I'm at 3,800 subscribers, so only 1,200 away. I feel like I might be able to get that by the end of June, maybe even mid-June. So help me out. You also will want to join my Discord. The link to join that is in the YouTube description below to get notified for all my streams. And check out beatbestball.com for all my best ball work. Okay. I mean, I have such a similar tier on these guys. I'm going to grab Trevor. And also the dude with Ingram is just such a wild card. So I'll grab it to finish up this Jag stack. After Trevor is not really where I want to be playing at QB. You know, like Tua is fine, but why would I take Tua? I mean, this dude who just ripped Herbert absolutely should have taken Tua to go with Tyreek, but, you know, to each his own. And with Daniels and Lawrence, I can definitely stop at 2 QBs. Yeah, I think betting on Tajay Spears here is pretty appealing. We already have a Jacksonville stack built out. We have a Houston player, so we're building out that division. We got Jags, we got Houston, we got Tennessee, and we got the Colts. So we got 4 players from the AFC South, hoping to fall in those week 17 stacks, those week 16 stacks. And Spear, like, I've taken some Pollard, and I definitely want to get Spears too, because I really think it will be a 1A, 1B type thing. Maybe you could argue Pollard has more of the goal line. Spears is maybe more explosive. It's hard to say with Pollard. Do you think robust RB is a viable strategy at all anymore, or just pure donating? I definitely think it's viable. One of my articles is going to be on extreme builds. And, you know, just to give you a sneak on that, I think extreme strategies can work. I try them often. They probably require a little bit of luck occasionally, right? If you start 3 RB in your drafts and you get in a room with like 7 people starting 3 wide out, that's not good. That's not what you want. If you start 3 RB and then people start panicking because they're like, oh, and so you start 3 RB, another guy starts 3 RB, another guy starts 3 RB, and people start panicking and they're like, well, I need the running back, so I'm going to massively reach on this guy. That's what you want, because now the wide receivers are getting pushed down. Definitely going volume at tight end, maybe even 4. But like my other positions where I got 6 wideouts, all with big ceilings, especially in a weekly sense and a season-long sense for some of them. I got 3 running backs who I think can hit 20-plus points in a single game, and 2 QBs who, I mean, I think Daniel's single-week ceiling has got to be huge, and Lawrence is that, like, serviceable vet to go with my stack. So I like what I built out here. I don't feel it's essential to stack up Daniels either, but might try if some of his cheaper players is there. Feels nice to get Lawrence when the next quarterbacks that go off are like Stafford, Rodgers. Why is this guy's doing taking? So he has Tyreek, and he's like, you know who I need though? I need naked Stafford. Yeah, Rico, solid to me. I mean, I think Zeke on a PPR site is a little bit better, but I have these players ranked next to each other, Dowdle and Elliott. So Benson not massively reached on there. He would have been a target for me late, but just not someone who panic reaches on stacks, especially on a rushing quarterback. And I mean, so not like people are just like being like, this dude will be Laporta. So not could be the blocking tight end for all we know. He could be great, could have high ceiling. But not a guy I'm going to like chase all the way up the boards. More a guy who I'm going to let fall to me. And yeah, we'll figure out tight end later. Let's get Marshawn Lloyd here. And so really like how my running back room's rounding out, where we got a shot at the Cowboys RB1 in Dowdle. At the least, I think Dowdle will have a shot at the goal line roll. Let's pull up his Raz. We're not getting it. If he didn't go to the combine. Dowdle's listed at 216, 5'11". And then Marshawn Lloyd was a 3rd-round pick. Thoughts on Panthers running back with them signing with Chuba, Miles, drafting Books, and signing Rashad Penny, plus spending like $160 million on 2 guards this offseason? Yeah, I think their O-line was terrible last year, and they're trying to fix that, which is smart. I think Brooks is by far and away the guy we want to target. I think Chuba is the RB2. I think Rashad Penny, it's possible we never see him on the NFL field again. But hey, he could surprise if he just needed a year to heal up. I think Miles Sanders is the RB3 and or getting cut / traded, but he's like almost all his contracts guaranteed. So Brooks and Chuba are the ones I really draft the most, though. I do not think Marshawn Lloyd should go after a guy like Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright, in one sense, they're both in 3 running back rooms. However, I think Wright is almost certainly the RB3, right? He's super explosive and fast, so I get the appeal. And Mostert and Achane are uh, have been injured plenty. But Lloyd, I'm just confident being like, look, AJ Dillon is it's over for you, friend. You are the RB2. Yeah, I mean AJ Dillon, like he could get some goal line touches. Okay, let's see who's here. Yeah, like running back, it's over for pretty much. Um, yeah, I like Musgrave here. Maybe he is the tight end too, but I mean, he was drafted higher. He was the tight end 1 until he was injured, and he got 3 and 4 targets in the actual NFL playoffs after he returned. So attached to Jordan Love, my tight end 1, building out a little bit of a Green Bay thing here with Lloyd and Musgrave. Feels good. Guys like Vidal and Tracy, like they're drawing very live to be absolute zeros. I just hope people realize that. Luke McCaffrey goes too. Maybe this guy is just like trying to prevent me from getting players. I don't know. I think McCaffrey I would have taken as a wideout 7 just for the stack. But not super bummed about it. And then I'll take Hunter Henry here, giving me another tight end I feel great about, who I think is drawing live to be the number 1 target in New England. Musgraves has a better potential than Trey McBride. I mean, I don't agree with that because I think McBride is almost certainly the number 2 target in his offense. But, he was a year 1 tight end, so we'll see. I think the Dolphins trading for Wright is more not liking the drop off of going from a Mostert slash Achan to like a Jeff Wilson as their RB they have to play, to just making sure they can keep on the field speed at all times. I don't think it guarantees Wright to see the field year 1. Kraft outsnapped Musgrave in the playoffs. Yeah, but I think a lot of that would have to do with the fact that Musgrave returned week 18. So I doubt he was at full health yet. Maybe Kraft is the tight end 1. Maybe he was so liked, he did so well during that stretch that he is just the tight end 1 now. But I like betting on, in my opinion, the probable more talented player who was drafted higher. What's Bryce Young's ceiling this season? I mean, it's so hard to say. But like, if he's ever a 20-point per game player over the course of a season, that would be shocking. Um, Probably like 15 points per game is his ceiling, with producing like 3 spikes. Game was also out of hand by second quarter, so no reason to keep Musgrave on the field versus Dallas. I agree with that. And CLN is clarifying that he was just saying Musgrave compared to McBride. But no, I mean, in general, you want to look, good offense, good QB. Let's take a roll at tight end there. Should have touchdown upside. Musgrave was also a significantly better blocker. I don't know. I thought Kraft was kind of known for blocking, so I'm not 100% on that, but I will trust you if you feel you know that. Wick's low key second best receiver on the Packers. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's really hard to judge that room. I think Jaden Reed is probably a little overrated. Um, let's go Conklin. This gives me 3 tight ends I like. I like Conklin more than others. Betting again on an offense I think should be pretty good in the Jets. And I mean, he did this with Zach Wilson. Like, I don't care what he did with Zach Wilson. Conklin is a bet that he's doing it with Rodgers. I like Christian Watson. Just betting that he's healthy, I think he could still be the most valuable. Dobbs, I'm just like not too impressed with, and the fact that he doesn't separate, but he does. He's gotten touchdowns. He's shown a good rapport. And then Wicks, I don't really know what to do with. There's even the other guy. I don't remember. What round are we in? 17? Man, things are getting dire quick on these sites. All right, let's add a third QB. Add Drake May. Even if Drake May doesn't start the year, not going to be too bothered having Lawrence and Daniels. And Christian Watson playing like 7 games, still scored 5 touchdowns. It's all about what is his health. With a Musgrave, Henry, Conklin trio, I don't feel the need to go for tight ends anymore, but I might, if I feel like tacking on a Zach Ertz or something. Feels especially good to get Conklin when the next tight ends off the board are Noah Fant, Jatavian Sanders, and Chigakonkwo and Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft also just his highest point game was 15 points. His highest targets in a game was 6, which he did several times. Musgrave, let's see how he did. Actually got beat. He didn't top 15 ever. He got 14 twice. Got targets of 8, got targets of 7, 6, and then coming back from 3 and 4 in the real NFL playoffs. And this game, of course, they stopped early. This was a wacky game. And tight ends don't do well against the Niners, or didn't last year. Musgrave had a few games where he stayed on his feet. Dude, the amount of games where Musgrave, back when people thought Jordan Love was bad, which I did not. I drafted a lot of Jordan Love last year as an upside swing. But there were so many games to start the year where Musgrave was backpedaling and just missed or whatever. He could have had some huge games for sure. And even if he's bounced, like these two offer a nice floor in targets at least. I mean, sure, let's gamble on the 49ers backup here. Isaac Gerendo. Works well, especially when you pick at the top of the draft as a leverage off of CMC teams. CMC goes down. Now I have the RB1 and the wide receiver one is the plan. I think I'll tack on a seventh wideout, Kendrick Bourne, add to the Drake May stack. Why not? And probably end this bad boy with the seventh running back as well. Ever since I mentioned Greg Dulcich to Davis, like that stream alone, I think, has pumped his ADP. He went from a guy who rarely drafted, mostly by me, to a guy I've seen drafted like 100%. Pronounced like Gur, not sure. I don't know what that's. Oh, this name. I was gonna say Kendrick. The New England passing game offers. I mean, Kendrick Bourne was really good for stretches last year. He did not get a lot of guaranteed money, even though his contract is kind of big. And I think it's like my guess is Bourne, Douglas, and Polk emerge as the three. And then maybe Baker kicks like Bourne to the curb later in the year. Um, and maybe KJ Osborne starts the year opposite of Bourne. But yeah, I mean, I could see really any of them holding down this top spots. Everyone back on Dulcich, and probably 99.9% of it is because of you saying that. I know. I mean, don't want to give myself too much credit, but it is incredible how I mentioned that. Maybe Davis went on some streams with some other people that had them update their ranks or something. And all of a sudden, people are just like, because I've drafted a lot of teams, mainly on drafters. And I'm just seeing him go like all the time when I just know he was not before then. I mean, it's still a risk, right? But I like the gamble as far as upside goes. If you want those player takes, get them at beatbestball.com. $99 covers you for the whole year. Thanks for being here, guys. As always. If you're watching this on replay or even right now, when the stream ends, in the YouTube comments, let me know times that typically work for you. I think for either the month of June or maybe even starting the last week of May, I'm going to try to have a regularly scheduled streaming schedule and just see how that does. Historically, I decide I'm going to do a stream. I socialize it sometimes only 5 minutes before, like I did for this one, and we see who strolls in. So I think something like, hey, 8 p.m. on Thursday night, I'll have a stream. Friday at 3, whatever. Like, just trying to stick to a schedule to give you guys something to know, like, oh, Liam is streaming at this time, I think would be helpful. Sure, Braylon. It will feel bad when it's a Banacanda, but I think it's a worthy team to be gambling on the RB2 of. So that finishes my squad. There's no like nice way to look at your team on DK, unlike on Underdog and Drafters, but finished with a 3-7-7-3. We got Chase, Mike Evans, Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, Roma Dunze, Brian Thomas Jr., and Kendrick Bourne as my wideouts. Jonathan Taylor, Jonathan Brooks, Tajay Spears, Rico Dowdle, Marshawn Lloyd, Isaac Guerrero, and Braylon Allen as my running backs. And then Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May as my QBs, Luke Musgrave, Hunter Henry, Tyler Conklin as my tight ends. I like the team. Seems logical. I like that I got 4 players from the AFC South, or 4 different teams from the AFC South, trying to fall into those Week 15 mini game stacks, those Week 16 mini game stacks. I like that I got some AFC East players. I got some Jets. I got some Patriots. So again, you can fall into some stacks there. And I think like player take wise, I like a lot of these players. Structurally, I think it's pretty good too. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. I got to get myself some breakfast now. Roast my team, please. Who are you, Danny? Oh, you're Danny Lav. Okay. AJ Brown, London Waddle. I mean, great start. Hurts, great start. Cook, Kittle. I like it. Stevenson, Warren. Seems fine. Jameson Williams. Tua. To go with Waddle. Fortunate for you there. I mean, I think the team turned out pretty good for you. Bryce Young, I do not like you tacking on a third QB with Hurts and Tua. I just don't see the reason. Probably a wasted pick. But, okay, you got to stack with Jatavian Sanders. Yeah, it's these little things, right? Breakfast at 1 p.m. Hey, Ray, some of us wake up and just eat DraftKings ranks and then do a stream for the people, right? So rewarding myself now. And I'm a no matter the time, first meal of the day, always breakfast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Again, hit the subscribe, and I will see you shortly. Definitely going to have rip a BBM5, maybe even tonight, probably tomorrow, though, once the schedule's out. Peace.